One of the races being watched closely here in Colorado is the 6th Congressional District, where Democratic challenger, State Senator Morgan Carroll, is hoping to unseat Republican Congressman Mike Coffman, who is seeking his 5th term. And it's not just Colorado watching. The Cook Political Report, which is an independent, nonpartisan election analyzer, they call this race competitive and says the seat is a toss-up.
And we welcome State Senator Morgan Carroll to Politics Unplugged, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You've been a member of the state legislature for more than a decade now. Why Congress? Why make this run?
You know, when you've served in Colorado for 12 years and you realize that you can actually get things done, not always easy, but you talk to so many families in the district, realize the struggles they're facing, and that you're actually able to get things passed in a way that helps families. And then you look at what's going on, or maybe more importantly, not going on in Congress. I, like a lot of people in our community, have just lost patience and just become really frustrated with the fact that Congress seems broken, just marred by gridlock, facing government shutdowns, and just seems unable or unwilling to get anything done for the people of the country right now.
Previous lawmakers, Joe McCloskey, Andrew Romanoff, have run against Mike Coffman and lost. And they've been through the situations you have. So what have you learned from them, if anything? How does your run differ from their attempts?
There's a couple things that I think really make this an incredible year to be running for this seat. First of all, I've grown up, I've worked and lived in this district. My mom graduated from high school in this district. I've literally talked to tens of thousands of voters from within this district every year, over 200 town hall meetings. So I have been hearing from and connected to people in this community and been working on their problems for a while. But a presidential year brings out more voters, and it makes a difference in tough competitive seats like this in a presidential year, and we are seeing record numbers of new people voting to register. The district has, and it has always been diverse, but it is even more diverse over the last 2 years than it was even just in 2014. And so right now we have the highest number of millennials that are here. We are expecting a high degree of voter turnout. And my story of what I've been through working multiple minimum wage jobs, including gas stations and video stores in Aurora, matches the experience of a lot of people in this district.
So let's talk specifics. What would your immediate goals be if you were elected?
The first is tackling student debt. Students are now facing $1.2 trillion across the country in student debt, and it is crippling opportunity for a generation. I personally worked throughout all of my college, and I still graduated with $70,000 of student loans. It has only gotten worse since then. And so for a lot of young people now, they're either giving up on the hope of a college education entirely, or they are facing a lifetime, essentially equivalent to that of a mortgage in some cases.
So what do you see as a fix for that?
I'd like to see Congress reduce the interest rate to 1%. It's the same level that we charge banks. Congress has a role in increasing funding for Pell Grants, merit and need-based scholarships, and they can control not only the interest rate, but how easy or difficult it is to refinance loans, and also do an expanded targeted loan forgiveness program. And those are all very realistic things that if Congress was focused on solving the real problems people in the community are facing, all of those are realistic things that could be accomplished in Congress.
PolitiFact has checked ads against you and have called them false in most cases. Most of your ads are positive, and I've seen a few that compare Coffman to Donald Trump right now. And so my question to you would be, why is it fair to make that link that Mike Coffman stands with Donald Trump when we've never heard that out of his mouth? I know at one point a staffer of his said, of course he would support the Republican nominee, but again, that was before Donald Trump was the nominee. So why do we see that in an ad paid for by your campaign?
Well, Donald Trump didn't come from nowhere. And there's actually history. We need to realize that, from my perspective, when you have someone at the top of the ticket who has, let's just say, engaged in an insult-driven campaign and has gone after women and immigrants and a whole host of other people, silence is not okay. If you are representing people in a community, you don't just sit by and let people take swings at the very people you're supposed to be representing. So the job we have, when you look at who's in our community, and whether it's people with disabilities, whether it's women, whether it's veterans, the types of, in my view, hard-hitting bigotry that we are seeing being led at the top of the ticket doesn't, you've got a couple responses. You can either refute it outright, you can be silent, or you can say, jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, I absolutely agree with this. The fact is that everything we've heard from Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, everything we've heard, the fact that the Coffman campaign still can't or won't say where they are, and their last official word is, we're obviously supporting the nominee. From the voters' perspective, what comfort is that? When in the crosshairs are women, are immigrants, are anybody and everybody in our district that frankly deserves someone who's going to stand up and fight for them.
And you say you know this district, it's 1/3, it's pretty well evenly divided.
Yeah.
What can you do for this district that Mike Coffman isn't doing? Why should they vote for you?
So the first thing I'd say is that my experience at the state level, I learned a lot about how to actually work across the aisle to get things done. When we got an aerial firefighting fleet, not a partisan issue. When I got lobbying reform through at the state level, not a partisan issue, except it was opposed in a bipartisan way. So when I got things like campaign finance reform through, or lobbying reform through, or criminal justice reform through, all of that is based on real-world experience of sitting down with colleagues and finding where you can find common ground to actually get things done. And I think the most important thing that the local experience has taught me is that your true north must be focused on what the needs of the community are. And if you keep it there, you will find that if you're willing to put the work in, you can find a way to get things done. And it's not just one person, it's a culture of Congress that is broken right now. And when they cannot do things like pass an annual budget, when they can't figure out how to keep the government from shutting down, and the focus is more on discrediting a president than it is on actually solving problems for people in the community, I think there is an enormous amount of pent-up frustration from people in the community about a Congress they see as doing nothing to help them.
State Senator Morgan Carroll, this might be the biggest race in Colorado nationally, even above the U.S. Senate race. We thank you for having you here.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.